Hi, I'm Johnny, and this is Comics Altruism. This is my entry into Nighttiger's Create a Character contest, and what he's asked us to do is to draw and then explain the backstory of a brand new character of our own design and from our own imaginations, which I think is very inventive of you. And like I mentioned in the Bear Island contest, I really like it when a contest inspires the entrants to use their imaginations and to be creative. And so good work on that idea, Nighttiger. Also, I'm going to leave the link below because if you take a look at his announcement video, it's a very generous prize, and so I couldn't not try. And I put it off as long as I possibly could because I'm a terrible visual artist, and frankly, just the idea of doing visual art, much less presenting it to whoever's watching, was terrifying. So yeah, I chose to just delay, procrastinate. But here it is. Recently, I went through a big Noam Chomsky stint, we'll call it. And I was trying to think, like, I wonder if there's a character there. Because as you may know, Noam Chomsky was originally a linguist. And I thought, maybe there's something there. And there was, as I figured out from coming up with this character. And I'm choosing not to call him a superhero or a supervillain because I want you to use your imagination to decide what he might do with this power, which isn't really a superpower, and plus heroism is very subjective. My character is the linguist, and his talent, we'll say, it's not really a superpower, but he was born with an eidetic memory for phonetics. And so he can watch like Spanish soap operas, and he just knows, he doesn't know what they're saying, but he takes in the language and knows where all the connotations are, all the inflections and what they mean. And so he can speak any language, but he doesn't know what he's saying. So that's where the interesting story arcs could come into play. I'm picturing he's an exchange student in Italy or something, and he really likes this girl, and all he wants to say is, "Hi, how are you?" But then the next thing you know, she's got like these hearts in her eyes, and the jealous boyfriend comes up, and he starts shoving the linguist, whose real name is down here, Gary Gaines. I had to go with an alliteration on that. And then the next thing you know, Gary starts talking to the jealous boyfriend, and the jealous boyfriend has hearts in his eyes. So clearly everything he says makes sense to them, even though he doesn't know what he's saying, and it always seems to be the right thing. So like I can picture he's on stage at like a Korean open mic or something, just dropping mad rhymes, and it's all like freestyle and everything, and somehow the audience is all loving it, but he has no idea what he's saying. He just knows they love it. His origin story isn't really anything spectacular. You know, you normally want to say there was a radioactive explosion, or there was some kind of sludge that he got covered in or whatever, but really that radioactivity would just give you cancer. So I mean, he was born this way, is what we'll say, and he realizes his power the very first time. His neighbors are keeping him up all night as a little kid. Every night they're just fighting and yelling at the top of their lungs, and they're deep German, right? Like, there's no way he could possibly understand what they're saying, but he goes over there and he speaks to them in German, and they just realize, oh, we actually really love each other. There's a reason we're married. And his parents are just flabbergasted. They don't know what's going on with this kid, and so they start treating him differently from his siblings, maybe. It separates him from the rest of society, this talent that he's got, and so he has to kind of keep it under wraps, which in a way is like he keeps a secret identity. And then I can also picture like another scenario where, you know how every superhero has a phase where they lose their powers? Well, maybe his go in the opposite direction, so he starts saying only the wrong things. So he's, you know, buying groceries or something, and instead of saying what he would normally say, like, thank you, have a good day, he's like, I hate you, go f*** yourself. You know, you see where that's going. So I'll give you a zoom up here on my terrible art. Alright, so there he is, and a whole bunch of welcome, bienvenido, etc., etc. And he realizes that his quote-unquote power actually has a lot of gravity and weight to it, and eventually he kind of has to depart from society. Like, he can't stay in any one place for too long because he keeps on creating these scenarios that he doesn't really want. They just make life really difficult for him. He can convince somebody to make a fake passport for him, and the next thing you know, he's over in China doing whatever. But he does have one big bad, and if you didn't see that down below there, the ignoramai. And what they are is basically like the Illuminati. They run everything behind the scenes. They manipulate a curriculum, for instance, so that the public who are being educated in a given educational system are sedated and subdued, and they're given the kind of education that has an ultimate ends for these people who are in charge. So the ignoramai are the top 1% who are, the conspiracy theory about lizard people or whatever. He sees them for exactly what they are. So his responsibility, in a way, is to dismantle this system from within, and he has to, unfortunately, go to all these international locations to sort of make that happen and to prevent him from getting caught, because these ignoramai, they hold all the power. So these multinational corporations have people everywhere. Kind of has this covert, sort of secret society that's after him at all times, because he's the only one who sees through their bullshit. So read into that as much as you like. If you know anything about Freudian or Jungian psychology, or if you like psychoanalysis, tell me what's wrong with me. All right. Thank you, Nighttiger, for the great contest. And anybody who hasn't looked at his announcement video, go and do that now, because you don't have a lot of time left to enter this contest, and it's a good one. All right. Thanks again, Nighttiger. Have a good one. Bye.